special assessment as income, and we're only now collecting 57,000.
So instead of the monthly going down, it would go up then?
It's going to
Or
go back. It's going to go up.
Right, so because the projected cost the monthly for next year was 585, so with this change, it would go up to 609,
609.
plus the 16 and some change special assessment.
But that would make the special assessment a little better.
Right, so if we divided that into 3, you're talking at,
So you're still
like, you're looking at like 550-ish a month in special assessment, January, February, March.
558.82.
558.82, which if we elected to bump it up a little bit, it would be 600 per person. Again, I'm just, 600 to give us a little bit of surplus if we decide to.
No, you're still at 102. You're showing 45 of it
Okay.
as prior year's loss, and you're showing 57 of it as special.
So that 609.28 would be, I guess, the equivalent of the first plan with the 3 rings. Does that make sense? But that a little bit of extra to
Yeah,
have.
it's just spread out. The
Okay.
portion that can be spread out over next year is,
Okay,
and the portion that can't be, that has to be paid now, is in the special assessment.
okay. Okay.
I have a question about the previous year losses on this budget, which is why I'm standing here. The budget that we have, the only thing that we're showing for losses is 35,000, which I understand is now increased because we've got more damage. But so I'm curious on this previous year losses that you're talking about, is that for 2023 or is that prior? Because the only thing that's showing on there is 2023, 35,000, which again, like I understand, we now have gone higher because of more repairs.
I just want to set the tone for the rest of the evening, so excuse me for a moment, but are we ready to open this up
I
to
am,
the floor?
thank you,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. No, as I was just reading off, it's your losses for this year, which you can collect over a period of next year. You have a negative bank account, and you're still writing checks out of it. And you owe the master 17,000 from 2022.
Okay, but where is that showing on the budget? Because the only thing that's showing on the budget is a loss, like I said, of the 35,000.
They don't show on the budget, they show on the financial each month.
But we don't see the financials each month, which is
You
why
can.
we're questioning why we're in the negative $102,000.
You can, and we talk about it at the meetings, but you can
And
see them,
most-
they're on the website, you can look at them
But that website
and
is
see
crap.
where you're at.
That website is absolutely
You
crap.
can. We do talk about it at the meetings. I
And this is
understand.
the first meeting I've been able to come to because you set them at a time. I had to leave work especially early to get here because I've got questions because I don't understand. And Megan was not able to explain it. So,
Janet, is there a good report that would be good for me to send out to my cluster that would give them more detail that I can access and email them? Is there a recommendation?
You get the financial every month. and they would
Do you
give
know
you
any
access
different
to it.
reports on the
Yeah.
portal? I guess that's what I'm asking, or something that's more detailed that would kind of give a bigger picture.
No.
Are you getting
financial?
Are you getting the monthly financial statements that she sends out?
Let me verify before I say yes or no. I want to make sure, I get so much, let me look.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
the
looked
balance
online
sheet
on all
and
the
income
reports.
expense would show them exactly what's
The
in the
income
bank
expense
account,
report.
what's owed to the master,
Okay.
and what's spent in each category every month. That's where they're at, yeah.
I
So
think
the
that
income
should be
ex-
showing on the budget so that we see that, because we're looking at the budget and the budget's not showing this, that's making it very confusing to us. And why are we not seeing the complete numbers? That doesn't make sense to me, although we aren't getting complete numbers.
Is there any more questions from owners?
And you're talking about the 17,000, right, 17,000, are you with me on that? Okay, was that, I'm not looking if I'm on the same moment as you, but we had, remember we signed, to give permission to take out of the extra painting money in our fund, because we had to give permission to do that, to move it and give it back to the master, since we had borrowed money from the master. Do you remember that?
For the additional.
That money wasn't given back to the master, that was put into your operating, your building fund, wasn't it?
No, I think it was to pay something back. Because I haven't read
I think we
There
borrowed
was $21,000
Yes.
overage
The owners,
in their painting fund.
we did a proxy on that to move it into their operating. Give us the answer.
You voted to move the money, you have a loan for that painting.
Right.
So you voted to move the monies to the painting, to get the painting done, and we took the loan out for the balance, for the loan. You know, that's going on till when, May? And then, you were owed to the master, but you, cluster 2 did not pay it back. Who paid it back? 4 paid it back. 5 paid it back. And I think Edna, you paid it back? I think there's 3 that paid it back. I mean, I can look
The
at.
$17,000 that we signed, I thought it was on the paper that we were paying that back to the master, that we had borrowed that, we borrowed that money from the master.
It was paid to the master for the 2022 additional insurance.
Yes. Yes.
You may have, I'll look, but I'm
Okay, so
telling
we
you.
have-
So my question,
Okay,
okay.
I don't mind, first off, it's not supposed to be a Q&A. I don't mind answering, but I've got to be allowed to answer. You may have voted to do so, I'm telling you, you did not do it. So you may have voted to do it, but the money wasn't there to do
How
it.
can that happen?
We don't handle the money.
How
do we not pay you?
How can that happen?
How should do that, and how should money here?
Hold on,
We needed to.
go ahead.
The money was supposed to have been moved out of the painting reserve because there was $40,000 in the painting reserve. And there was $19,000 that it cost, to have the company paint. So there was $21,000 that was still left in that reserve account. And considering the fact that they owed like 20, I talked to you about that.
For cluster 2,
For cluster 2, to move that money either into their operating or to pay back something that they owed. And I never did ask again what had happened because I was no longer working as a
Janet,
president.
did we not move it to grounds repairs?
may I approach? May I approach?
For what? What do you
Sure
need?
you can.
What paper?
Paper.
Fine.
Oh, I don't. What's it?
Yes.
Okay, again, here you go. That's fine, and I'll check to see if they made the move. But what I'm saying is, you didn't pay the master
So what
bill.
you're talking about is, that is this, we didn't do it, and that's why you're asking for an answer to
Who is paying?
Right.
So
Who's
you will
paying?
see.
Moving the money, who's paying?
Oh, I'll check right now. I'll check right now. It was from the building painting for cluster 2. Yeah, no, I'll check right this minute. I don't want you to have to wait. 2, 5, 4, 6, 2. Operating budget cost. In June, 17,204. Yep. You did, it was taken out of the reserve. It was moved into your operating account. Just make sure. No, the loan was for the painting.
Why when there was $40,000?
Well, whose loan was for painting? Is that you, Robin?
No.
No, it's not, no. They took a loan out and put the money into the bank gave you the money, it went in the reserve account. That all has to be paid back. But it's in that special assessment, it's being paid back through that special assessment, I think it's $50 a month, but it's like.
those are the stairs.
Like
For the
May.
stairs.
Well, did you special assess for painting?
Yeah, we special assessment.
Oh, okay. Then 2 was for something else, right? Okay. Well, the painting was, it was moved over into your operating. It's been spent. That's
It's been
what-
spent.
On what?
On what?
Repairs all year.
That's all
Got
I'm
to look
saying.
at the reserve. You've got to look at the financial each month. Miscellaneous legal, you had, I'm reading from October's, okay? 2,200, you're over the $1,500 budget. Fire safety, 287, it was $200 you budgeted. Pest control, so far 610, it was $600. Building repairs, so far, operating, not reserves, 50,788. You budgeted 20,000. Miscellaneous grounds, 2,429, you budgeted 1,000. Tree trimming, 1,155, you budgeted 800. Master association, that's fine, that's standard. Pool maintenance, 1,350. Well, that one's all right.
That's all in the
Pool
operating.
supplies and repairs. Yeah. That's what I'm saying, the money was moved to the
That's-
operating. You're over budget $36,000 and your
Right, but
bank
that has
account.
nothing to do with the question we're asking. Where'd the 17,000?
I'm answering the question, you're not listening to me. You're over budget so much that we have spent so much money that your bank account is in the negative. You are $35,000 over budget that you didn't
Where'd the
have.
money come from to pay the bills?
It came from all the other clusters.
Everybody.
Why is this stuff not made known to?
Because when the association was set up, we're under one. We have one bank account, okay? There's one bank account, one checkbook, and we all operate out of that. But the accountant splits that in 7,
Well, seeing that.
or CNS. I mean, we have one checking account. So when you're over $36,000, you didn't get a loan for that. We could change that probably to where you can't, but we're not gonna go down that road. But when you're over $36,000, you're borrowing it from Edna.
Can I explain something that I learned as a new person that I wouldn't be surprised, I'm sure some of you know, but it's something that I learned after the fact, is that, when I bought my condo, and again, first to acknowledge, I'm not an expert when it comes to HOAs and all of that. I discovered that, so this is what's considered, and Janet, correct me if I'm wrong with the language, a multi-condominium HOA, which basically means that there's multiple HOAs essentially within our one board. Is that a good way of describing it, Janet?
Yeah.
So again, so we all have our own budgets, but then that's what, where the money comes from the.
Within one board.
Within one board, yeah.
No, you have multiple associations. It's a master with subs, but only one board. There's only literally one condominium association, but there's 7 parts to it.
Right, which is not, from what I understand, is not the norm for most HOAs, which
No.
makes things more difficult and complex and difficult to understand. So just wanted to comment on that, that's one of the things that have been, and it's been like, it's always been that way.
I'm trying to find the July financial.
And as far, okay, so here, as far as even like the master's concern for everyone, when the blacktop was done, who remembers the blacktop being done? Raise your hand. Okay. When the blacktop was redone 6 years ago, 7 years ago, it was overspent $150,000. At the time, that board opted to spend it. Well, guess where they got the money from? They cleaned out all the reserves because they spent money they didn't have. And guess what's never been put back in? That $150,000 has never been paid back. And on top of that, let's face it, our buildings are aging. They need repair. not only are we underfunding, but we're not even doing proper maintenance. We're just
We're putting Band-Aids
We're-
on things,
we're- we're
like the
plugging-
holes are a good example.
We're plugging holes as they come along. We're doing no preventative maintenance. It's because there's no money.
And robbing Peter to pay Paul the whole time.
Yes.
That's why we need those cents, buddy.
It doesn't come down to cents. It
does.
It truly does
It
not.
truly does, because
No,
it adds up.
No, it doesn't. It comes down to funding properly, and that's where the reserve study fund is going to get us.
I'm from cluster two, I just have an additional comment.
Go two.
Is that fine?
Go ahead.
What's it?
Okay, so, go ahead.
So I don't know if this question's for Megan or for Janet, but I also have a question about the details. The $80,000 number, I guess, is being sorted out, but that's almost a $50,000 mistake. I don't know if it's a typo or a misunderstanding, but when I ask for details, Janet, you're just pointing us back to the monthly financial statements, which is fine. Happy to go through them. Do the monthly financial statements go line by line per condominium, every single expense?
Yes.
Every single
month.
expense?
Yes, and there's 7 parts to it, the master and each cluster, so
Perfect.
you could look just at your cluster, yeah.
So is it possible that the board can take a look, or possibly Megan, and summarize this, or at least make it easily accessible for us? I don't care if it's a PDF combined January through December, but I'd like something to look at.
The financials each month show not only that month, but the year-to-date. So you always
I don't want
get-
it just year to date.
They're
I want
on
it
the
detailed.
website. If you don't have your login, then
I have
reach
mine.
out to me, yeah, and they're on the website under financials.
Yeah,
you
and
can-
I'm happy to send them out. I'm trying to, like, when I go to the financials, it has them on there, but it's old ones, so I'll get with you after. It was like, I just have to find where it is, 'cause when I opened it up, it
On the
was like
website?
2019.
No, they're up to date.
Yeah, go on down to the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I'm just looking for.
They're up to
I'll send
date.
all of them.
Type in the search bar at the top, 2023.
Okay.
Okay, and that'd be really helpful to have all the
Yeah.
lines. And then the other thing is, when things are going up, for example, the pool maintenance is going up $3,000, can we just get a simple summary of, again, I'm fine paying it. If that's what it has to be, it has to be. But at least we deserve a minimal explanation of why is it more than doubling from last year?
I'm
I
gonna
feel like-
answer that
Sure.
because if you were looking at the master budget that came out with it, it went down. The master used to pay all of the pools,
Okay.
and it is broken out per cluster, because you have your own pool, it shouldn't be paid out of the master.
Okay.
So that is why it went up so much, but the master went down that much.
Got it. And
So
then
the master's
attorney-
only paying for
the
the
attorney
master.
10,000 is already said and done because instead of typing up a PDF that's hard to read, we just are spending 10,000 for an attorney to do it. Is that correct?
No.
Okay, don't answer sarcasm. That was a comment,
That's a
just say
question.
thank you.
That's
a question.
that's a
That's a question.
If the detail isn't on here, I'm just strictly asking. Sarcasm
That's
is not.
fine.
It was my
When you guys
question.
get the budgets from now on, why don't you type the email questions and get your answers before you come into the meeting, so that you have them?
I thought that's what this
And
was,
you
because
know
every
what?
time I ask a
No,
question,
this is
I'm
not,
trying to
no, it's not a town hall budget meeting, it's a board
When I
meeting.
ask questions, I'm told to come to the meeting to ask my question.
Yeah.
I'm to the
Yes.
meeting to ask my question.
Well, that's incorrect, because the board is actually not supposed to be answering questions at the meeting. We're supposed to be taking
So
action.
when's the appropriate time?
That's,
Make sure.
that answers it enough, honestly.
So when's the appropriate time to ask questions?
At your annual meeting or email,
So once a year?
to address it.
You said you're gonna forward it to the board and you don't
I
get
can't
answers.
answer if everybody's gonna yell, or when they open the floor at the end, ask them questions, and then have them ask if they'll put it on the next agenda if it's a new item, or, you know, open the floor.
Thank you, Megan. You're doing a great job. I do genuinely, I'm glad you
I could just comment on, I'm going to find the most up-to-date financials and I will send them out to all of you. I'm also gonna send you just, and again, I didn't approve it because we don't have any money, but as an example, I'm sorry, what's the pool guy's name, Corey? Corey, he's very nice and I do think he's doing a great job. He did send, an estimate to, put a new pool light and pool heater and all in, and again, I haven't, we don't have the money for it, but I will go ahead and attach that, because I know there are a handful of you that that's important to you. I'll send it to you so you can review that as well.
I'm sending you the October financials right now to
Okay.
share with the owners. Keep in mind, when I send a copy to the board, It is the full copy with the bank reconciliation. It's like hundreds of pages long.
120.
And it also identifies everyone who's late or even a dollar late.
Well, that's what I was concerned about sending reports out, so I didn't, that's why I was asking if
But
there
the
was a
one on the
specific
website
report I
is
could show.
shorter, so
Okay,
that-
so I'll, okay.
Right.
'Cause, yeah, I wanted to be able to send them the report, but one of the things is, you know, it's illegal to work. I'm not allowed to give out personal information of each owner, so I want to make sure that I don't inadvertently send a report that has people's personal information on that. I don't want to do that, so I want to make sure I send out the correct one, you know, without that.
Yeah, I just sent it to you, so
Okay.
it's easily accessible.
Okay. But I just need to black out the stuff, is that what you're saying? It has all the.
No, I think it's.
Oh, it's the one that, okay, okay.
Alright.
Yeah, from the website.
Anything more on cluster two?
One thing, just, a question on the 57,000. That's owed back to the checking account, the one checking account. Does some of it go back to our reserves? Is any of it going back in cluster two reserves?
The 17204?
No, I'm talking about the 57 you're referring to. We adjusted it down to 45 and the other 57.
We didn't adjust anything, it's not a mistake.
You did.
So we were collecting 102 and expensing 80. We lowered it, we're collecting 57 and expensing 45. That's all we did, is lower those two numbers.
Okay, well, the 57, my question is, it's getting back paid to the checking. Is that of it going back to our reserves, cluster two reserves?
Is it going back to your reserves? No, it's not for your reserves, it's for,
Well, our reserves were used throughout the year
right.
to pay for,
You move that money from the reserves to the operating. And you use it.
Are there gonna be
It got
any
used
reserves
for
for us?
repairs. Well, your reserves are not being touched by any of this. Where are you at now? Let me see. At the end of the year, it's looking like your balance is gonna be, you're at 78,000 total in
Yeah,
there?
I think the current balance is 74,411, if I'm
Might
looking at
be.
the right thing.
No, that's the budget. Let me look at
The
the
reserve
general financial.
schedule?
Oh, are you on the reserve schedule for?
Yeah. It says total 74,411 for the clubhouse building, it says current balance 1,627, does that sound right?
No,
Clubhouse
right
fund.
now in your reserves, you have $45,938. That's all you have in there, right?
you,
You're looking at the master of the clubhouse.
Oh, okay, then that's what I see, okay.
Yeah, you're down
All right.
48,000.
Are we ready to move on to cluster three?
Yes.
Alright.
Alright.
Well, wait, we're not finished. So is that what you want? Let me see, I'm off my page. Okay, so we're only gonna special assess for 57,000. We're only gonna show the prior year loss, separate, of 45,000. Those are the items that have to be paid back right now. So your assessment is at 609.28, and your special assessment, when we get to it later, would be 558.82. Is that more palatable to everyone? We have to get the money one way or the other.
Yeah, I know.
So
I guess what I'm trying to understand is, I'm sorry, so it would have been $585 a month, and now it's up to $609. So is that because where's the difference in that coming from?
We're not special assessing the 102.
Instead of special
We're
assessing.
special assessing 57,000.
You gotta get through that.
Yeah. So basically, instead of making it the three big payments, it would added in all year, is that basically?
Yeah, so like I said, part of it can't be spread out through the year
Right,
because it
right,
needs
so
to
that-
be paid by
yeah.
the end of this year, so part of it has to be paid in that first quarter. So that's, we're gonna do the special assessment and get that done.
Okay.
The rest of it, the loss from this year can be spread out, so I've built in
So
what
that's what
can
would be spread out. But
Yeah.
it would be, we would still be in the same situation we are now, basically, where we paid off what we owe, but we're still have not much money to be able to improve things. I don't
Well,
like
no,
that
this
plan.
is all working with that 102 figure. I haven't messed with your 102 figure.
But it'll take all year to get that, I guess what I'm saying is,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah,
still
yeah,
be in
yeah.
the same situation where, sorry, we can't afford to replace the pool light, or whatever it might be, you know?
Well, I've told Robin, and I think for you, and I think this goes for any of the clusters, moving forward, can't do this. If you get something that you can't afford, it's a special assessment. If-
That makes sense,
Even
yeah.
if that means it's, I don't know, even if it means it's $200, you know, to just get it done.
Yeah.
I don't know, it can't build up like this.
Right.
And it can't,
Yeah, and I don't want, that's what I'm saying, because, I mean, and again, using that example, I somewhat like the idea of if it's important to several members of the community for the pool light, and say there's, I don't know, 15 owners that want to assess that, you know, need chip in
Right.
and pay for it, that will obviously be better than the other people that are more of a fixed income. I like that idea, doing special assessments for improvements that
As
might
they
not
go.
be necessary.
but like
Is
I
that what you're
said,
saying?
you're over budget now, and I didn't add these up specifically for you, but it has gotta be another $1,500 up, no?
The building repairs is
Almost.
the one that I think is vital, because it was 20,000 this year, and we moved it up to 50, which I think is necessary. We're gonna use it.
Yeah, and so you're in the negative now, and I've got another $15,000 to $18,000 of repairs that we paid
Yeah.
in November. So these are not even in that figures that I'm giving you from the October.
So it's sounding like to me, I don't think that this new plan would help much, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's helping the owners be able to afford the special assessment, because instead of a special assessment, we're building it into the monthly rate.
Some of it, right.
Some of it.
Some of it, and then doing a smaller special assessment. Is the outcome the exact same as far as what will
Yeah, if
have
you do the
left?
math, the outcome's the same, yeah.
Is the outcome the same as far as our ability to be able to fix necessary things that we have to?
It doesn't put cash in your hand as fast.
So we're talking about a different, so if we just did with the original plan, it would be 585, it was, the original
I'll put
plan.
it back down. It was special assessment of 102,000, and the where did it go? Let me look. There it is. And the 80,000 for the prior year. So that's 584 and 77 cents if you go to the cents.
My gut tells me that that's what we need to do. I feel like for years, people have chosen to do the, for lack of a better expression, the easier, softer way, just to work for everyone, and I'm all for it, and I understand that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's helping us as a community by doing that, because we're not gonna be
You
able
don't have ready
to-
cash.
it's not, if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, we know that as the definition of insanity, so I just can't back that, so I'd like to stay with our first, the first option.
All right. Do you want, and you said, you did say yes to the cents, so instead of 585, it's gonna be 584.77.
Yes.
Okay.
But we'll be able to, with all the new numbers, are we gonna have a time to review this, for the owners to be able to review this before, like, it's official?
We didn't change anything, and
We
no,
didn't-
you're
we're still
voting on it
good.
tonight. You have to get your coupons on it.
That math is not the same.
It's not the same math.
Megan, that math is not the same. I can run it, I can tell you how I think it's doing.
I've been doing this for years and years. I'm doing it right here now with the formulas. I don't know what to tell you. Actually,
What if I don't agree with it? I mean, what do we do? Do I have to wait till next time, and that's a problem?
you can't wait till later.
That's
You're already
insane.
late. You have to adopt your budget.
You can push it to a meeting for next week. Special meeting, as you
Nope.
can.
Nope. 14 days notice.
Yeah. 14 days notice to have the
Oh,
meeting.
we have a question.
Question on that. If
We did.
If you're gonna go back to what we started with, but if I understand correctly, we don't owe 80,000 now. We think we owe less, right? Back to,
No, you do owe 80,000, you just don't know, you don't owe it by the end of this year.
We're at the 50,000.
okay, because I think we recalculated, why wouldn't we owe, why would we still owe it?
You owe 80 because you owe all that stuff. You have to pay yourself back because you're in the negative. You have to bring your bank account to zero at least. Put $1 in there, and you have to pay back the master. So you do owe that money plus the little bit that Megan put in as a cushion, so you have some money to pay bills, which is gone tonight, I can tell you that. But some of it was from 2022 and 2023 that is owed to other clusters or the master that has to be paid now. And the CPA has said that as long as we can show the special assessment being assessed in the first quarter, that the money's coming back, that's fine. The rest of the money that you're overextended, once you bring the bank account to zero and pay back the master, the rest of the money that you're overextended can be collected throughout the year from you guys because you're just paying your own cluster back monies that you lost this year. That's
And I
it.
guess the question is, it sounds like there's three different things. There's some money that was owed from expenses from 2022.
Just the big insurance jump for those couple months.
And then this year, where we've gone over budget for this year.
Right.
And then we're looking at the coming year and trying to get a larger amount of money available for fixing the building, right? That we've got to.
That's not really it. It's
Well, we got 47.
expenses that you've spent where it's being paid out of other clusters and the master's money.
So I guess we still have, that general question of, we've got a nice round number here of 80,000 that we owe. I don't think any of us really have a better answer, having talked through this with you for a while, right now than we had before about what that's, even just give me 4 categories of what each of those things were. That's an issue we have. And the other thing is, we know that if we're gonna do $102,000 worth of special assessment, we're not gonna get, the bulk of that money is not going to be doing anything to help fix our buildings, because you're saying that money, 80,000 of it, is already gone.
Already gone, and now, and like I said, we're not done the year yet. This is another like 15 to 18,000 of that extra 22 is gone.
I guess just one other question, how are we managing the saying yes to each one of these things? Because it seems like we don't really have very
We're
good
getting
understanding.
bids, we'll talk about these when we get to them, but none of these were optional repairs.
Okay.
These are things that absolutely had to be done, or there were water leaks.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
Nothing optional. I don't think Megan's done anything optional in, I don't even know, all year.
If you're hanging on to pool lights, there's nothing optional.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't done
The
anything.
money that we're spending is not optional, it's,
We're talking about people with
Holes
like
in
holes in
roofs
their
and-
walls and, which is opening it up to rat infestation and things like that. People, it needs to be fixed, it's not an option, right? So it's really, very expensive and costly.
Yeah, we're gonna go over all that.
I just
later
hit
when we
send
do
to
that.
all of the cluster 2 owners, so you have the financials from January through October, itemized. I forwarded those to them.
My question
From the
still
website,
stands.
not the big one.
My question still stands is that if we are starting our year with a negative, which it sounds like cluster 2 did, started 2023 with a negative, why is that negative start not showing up on the budget to help explain our numbers? Because that's part of our problem with not understanding our numbers, is because we're not seeing on that we started the year at a negative.
Okay. I don't know how to say this. It's gonna sound rude. Every answer I give you tonight when it comes to money is gonna sound rude. Here's the answer. This is not a book. This is not your annual explanation. You have got, if you're interested in the monies, to look at the financials each month. You've got to ask questions. You've got to know before we get to this where we're at, or you've got to ask in advance for copies of things so that you can see it. I don't have it here, or I would literally put it in your hands so that you
I
could
understand
understand
that,
it.
but that negative balance, if we're starting with the negative balance of
You didn't start negative, you started owing back to the master.
That's a negative.
But you were
That's a
billing.
negative.
No, you were no. Again, do you want the answer?
Okay.
Okay, you didn't start negative, but you were billing and collecting your monies, and at the time, we didn't want to empty your bank account and pay the master back. We wanted to give you some money to pay your vendors with. As the year went on and we used those monies, we realized you're not gonna have that 17,000. You're using it up paying vendors and repairs. So we went to the owners in June and said, let's move that money from the painting. We did that. We moved it from the reserve to the operating. You continued to have in 1 month, $15,000 to $18,000. I mean,
Okay,
it's just
but
been
you're
nothing
but we're talking $80,000. But what you're showing us, and obviously I understand it's not including the current expenses.
Mhm.
But you're talking $80,000,
Mhm.
but what's showing on the budget.
And again, I can't answer that 5 more times. This is not a book. I'm not putting it on here. That is not what goes on the budget that the board adopts. That's what you as an owner want as an explanation. They've gone over it in the board workshop.
Okay, so
You
then why
want
can't
it.
it be explained?
That's what I'm saying. If you had asked me in advance, I could have answered and given you the items. And I don't mind doing that now, but I can't do it this second. I don't have to
Yeah.
give to you.
Well, and I
So would
did
like
ask
the
for
answer
an
and forward it.
explanation when it was brought up that we were going to be, the $3,000 assessment was going to be discussed at this meeting. I did ask for an explanation on that, and got, you owe money.
Okay,
That's
well,
basically
so
explanation I
for
got.
the board,
You owe money.
for the board, we have board protocols. So any board member who's telling owners to come to the board meeting and ask questions, that's the incorrect thing to do. They should be emailing the questions and getting the proper answers so that they can come and you are ready and you understand things and you can discuss the board business and we can get moving on the association business. And if owners hear something you say or question or ask, that might trigger another question or a comment, but they should walk in here having their answers, not walk in here confused and make it a 3-hour meeting. And that is, it's always worse when it's money, but that should be any board meeting. The owners should not be walking in here and not understanding what the heck we're talking about on this agenda or this budget or this whatever. They should have the answers that they need.
You're freely to
before.
ask your cluster director any questions you want. And you should get a response.
I'd like to make a comment really quick. I know where you're coming from, but we're talking about actually 2 different things. You want to know what the balance is. You want a balance sheet. You want to know what the beginning, what your checking account is. But this is a different document. This document, and I had to learn this the hard way too, because I had never done budgets before I came here. But this budget just says, all it is it's telling me my cluster that, first it tells me what my budget was for last year, how much I was supposed to spend, and how much I was gonna have come in. So, in other words, it doesn't tell me, and then it says, but this is what you really spent for 2022.
My best estimate.
Yeah,
It's not
it's an
figured
estimate,
out.
it's a plan, that's all it is. And then it says, okay, so I spent 141,000, or I had 141,000 come in assessments last year. This year, because my assessment's gonna go up, it tells me that we're gonna bring in 144,000. Well, that is something that I have to work with, that 144,000. So when I put my budget together, I look at the 144, I'm not looking at my checking account. That's a different thing altogether.
This is a budget.
Yeah, this is
It's
just
what
a
you
plan
expect
that-
to spend.
This
I'm
is just a
budgeting.
plan to tell me how much I'm supposed to have come in and how much I can spend. And then if I go over the budget, which is why cluster 2, and I've done it too, I spend more than what I budgeted, so then next year I look at this and say, well, it doesn't tell me I've got $3,000 in my checking account. It just says, for next year, I hope I'll start out with a surplus of 3,000. That's all.
Well, I do want to clear something else up on the heels of Edna, because we're mixing these things up, and I understand why, because this is a big special assessment. But the special assessment items and the details that you want as to why we need that money, that's later in the agenda. Right now, we're just trying to get your budgets done for next year, and your monthly assessment. We've got to get that done so the operations of the association
My
are done.
question's on that, Janet.
The
Sorry.
questions, I'm not ready yet. The questions that are where that figure came from that's plugged in the budget, we can discuss when we get to the special assessment. But again, you guys have got to, as owners, reach out to me, reach out to the board members. If they tell you to come to a meeting and ask it, reach out to me anyway. And spread the word to your neighbors so that you don't come in here frustrated and not knowing what the heck you need $80,000 for. You should know that in advance. We are adopting a budget for next year, and you need to know why I'm trying to do a $102,000 special assessment. We're not gonna keep going back and forth. I understand you're frustrated. If this is a new question about this budget, we're on cluster 2, then go ahead and ask it. If it's not, then we're moving on.
I know you shifted the numbers, you presented Megan in cluster two different options, correct? We're either
Right.
assessed $3,000 and then we pay a $585 a month assessment, correct?
I don't remember
That's
what the
option
number was.
Correct.
but-
That's correct.
Option number 2 was we're assessed $1,676, right? That's the the 558 over 3 months.
Right,
And then our assessment monthly goes up to 609, correct?
correct.
Janet, you said that that number is the same. It's not the same.
I
That's
did
a-
not say that number was
It's
the same.
stated.
Okay.
I just said the spread was the same.
Okay, I'm sorry if I misheard you, it's a difference of $35,000, or per owner, about $1,000. Obviously, I would like to take the cheaper option. If that doesn't make sense, I just wanna know why, because all I heard is that number's the same. When I run the math, that number's $35,000.